All right, Locked On Canucks listeners, introducing the member of the Vancouver Canucks in, what will it be? 2045, Henry Kazda Beggs, baby. Let's go. But in all actuality, we're going to talk Conor Garland. Is anyone going to acquire this guy? Come on, he's still got value. That's coming up next. Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, Canucks writer and credentialed media member for Daily Hive, Vancouver. And before we dive into the show today, we want to thank you for listening to Locked On Canucks. It's your team every day, even in July. Make sure you subscribe or follow for absolutely free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, Kyle, it's a trade that never happened, but could it still happen? I think there's a chance. So today we're going to talk about Conor Garland and teams that should be interested in his services, because at the end of the day, this is still a heck of a hockey player. And I'm okay if he sticks around in Vancouver, but at the end of the day, you do got Beauvillier, Garland, Hoglander. I think, Beauvillier or Garland could be expendable. So we're going to talk about three teams who should acquire him. Also going to talk about some prospects to watch next season. Yeah, I was busy with the fam. Kyle was busy watching the YouTube hockey videos I sent him, so we didn't get to development camp. But just want to talk about 5 prospects next season that I'm going to keep my eye on. But first and foremost, Kyle, you're a little past the prospect level now, buddy. But hey, how you doing today?
Oh, man, that is so true, man. That is so true. And I'm up here in this thing called life, right? Age 30, no longer a prospect, just a man with a dream. Many dreams, okay? Trevor Beggs, Kyle, Bhawan. What a beautiful start to the show. We got a cameo from one of the greatest of all time. Let's be real. Let's be honest. Hey, speaking of the greatest, comment corner at the end of the show. We've gotten a lot of love recently, okay? And I've told people this many times. I get a little cringy, with the love, and I like to deflect a lot, It's just the way it is. Just the way it is. Maybe it's the Canadian in me, who knows, right? Maybe I was raised this way. Be humble. Don't be too high. Don't be too low. It is what it is. That being said, I appreciate it, man. For real. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bhawan, Locked On Canucks. We do this for the people. We do this every day. And Vancouver, man, we're all Canucks, and Conor Garland may not be a Canuck much longer. Apparently, I feel as if when the market kind of changes and less play, I guess the value of players is a little bit higher than it is right now. I think we could see some smoke and some fire with these reports that the Canucks will get rid of a winger, and Garland is the best choice, IMO, to quote unquote get rid of, because he's the only one that is still proven to be a bit of a play driver / X factor. I think I'm right on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, Thomas Durant has had this take, and, quite frankly, I kind of agree with him here. There's 3 Canucks who can drive a line on their own and have proven to do so, and it's Pettersson, Miller, and his Garland. The rest of the Canucks, there's some talent there, but can anyone else really drive a line on their own? I tend to think not. And you saw Conor Garland last season end up with Dakota Joshua and Nils Amon, something that kind of surprised me because Tocchet played the wheels off of him when he was in Arizona. But Garland drove that line with Joshua and Amon and did a really good job doing so. So if the Canucks are looking to trade a winger, I think Garland has likely the most value. No, it's probably Beauvillier has the most value. Garland's arguably the best player, though. Among Besser, Garland, Beauvillier, I think Garland's the best player.
It's so interesting, again, all over the place. And there I was, saying this guy's the play driver. He has that X factor ability. Couldn't even finish the sentence because I was kind of at a loss of words for how to describe how good Conor Garland is still proving to be, even on the Vancouver Canucks. And I immediately say, this is the guy they're going to get rid of, because this team desperately needs cap. And I think relieving even more money off the books in the long term is just beneficial for a team that really hasn't had that ability in years past. And again, I'm still on the one step at a time approach. But again, this all being said, why wasn't I just like, trade Beauvillier though? Trade Beauvillier. He's proven it less with the Canucks. He has 1 year left. He's not the better player here. Not similar cap hits, but similar cap hits. Let's get rid of him.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting how my mind's working.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Kyle. I think Beauvillier has the most value just because of his contract, but Garland is, the best player among, I think, Besser, Garland, and Beauvillier. So let's talk about 3 teams that I think should acquire Conor Garland. And I'm going to start with the team that you mentioned on that solo show when my baby boy was born, in the New York
Ooh.
Rangers. So the New York Rangers, again, they got bounced in the first round of the playoffs this year. They got some talent on the roster, but they're getting a bit older too. And they lost Tarasenko and Kane here, although I guess those guys haven't signed yet. They did add Blake Wheeler so far in free agency. So the Rangers have some cap space right now, but they're pretty close to the cap because most of that $7 million in space they have left is going to have to go to K'Andre Miller and Alexis Lafreniere. But here's something where I think could potentially work with the Rangers, and it would be Barclay Goodrow coming back the other way to Vancouver.
Oh man,
So
come
is that a
on,
trade you want to
dog.
make?
No, wait, turn it off. Boom, boom, bam. Okay. Before I go in on it, I gotta clear up the facts, right? Tell the people what Trevor Beggs knows and how many years does he have on his contract compared to Garland. What's the math / truth behind that? Because that matters. That matters. If the Canucks are gonna trade Garland for another forward, I know Goodrow can play center. That's what I'm assuming, and I think I've heard that in the past. I think if it's a player like Goodrow coming back, who's kind of not been the same impact player that he was with the Lightning, they got to make sure the term at least matches because we can't be taking on an extra year of unpredictability. Everyone knows that. We don't want that. We want to make smart moves here. What's the situation looking like?
Yeah, Goudreau has one extra year more than
Get out of
Garland.
here.
But his cap hit is 3.6, so the Canucks would save $1.3 million in cap space by making this move. But again, Goudreau is 30 years old. Again, one extra year in his contract. Right now, he is a reliable bottom six center who can put up 10 goals, 30 points, kill penalties,
got one of those
and
guys,
play
Teddy
tough
Bluger.
matchups.
We got one of those guys.
Teddy Bluger, and
you said
maybe
10
we'll talk
goals,
later.
30 points. That's like peak Teddy Bluger, and I think Taka can get him there. That's just
I don't think
one
Teddy
of my opinions.
Has Teddy Bluger even hit 10 goals in an NHL
No, I think
season?
I think his career has like 9. I think it's like 9.
I think it's 9.
No, 9, 10, same thing. Okay, come on, man. We round up.
Again, but trade or not, I do think the Rangers are a team that should have interest in Garland. I look at their numbers at even strength, and they were a bottom 10 team in terms of Corsi for, shot attempts for, scoring chances for.
Okay.
So I think, when you're looking at a high flying Eastern Conference there, I think the Rangers need a bit of a boost offensively because, despite the star power, there's not moving the puck and getting as many chances as other teams in that conference.
I can see where you're going with that. I think Garland has like this, maybe it's in the name or just the way he looks. Like I think a lot of us feel as if he could like translate into like a gritty forward, useful in the playoffs the whole time. I don't know if like Garland is specifically that, I think he's more offensively inclined. Like that's where his value lies. I'm a little surprised in that too. Don't you think the Rangers would want more grit at this time when it comes to player acquisition? Like, I don't know, just when it,
that seemed to be their MO so far is targeting the grit, but hey, it hasn't really worked out for them yet, So
true.
And if you get a guy like Garland for pennies on the dollar, I think that's something the Rangers should definitely be interested in. Another team who should be interested in Garland is a team that's going to that has gone through a lot of upheaval this offseason and I think is in danger of seriously dropping off next year, and that's the Boston Bruins. It's funny to think that guys like Bergeron and Krejci, two guys who are combined almost 80 years old, those guys leave and your team's in shambles. But I'm wondering where Boston stands next season, to be honest with you. And I think the reason why Garland could make sense here as well, aside from Boston being kind of middle of the pack in terms of the shot attempts for a very good defensive team, but they've lost some offensive firepower with Krejci and Bergeron. And Boston's also a bigger team. They could insulate a smaller player like Garland, who could probably help some of their middle six players drive. He could drive a line there. And Garland's also from Massachusetts, so it'd be a bit of a homecoming for him as well.
Okay.
You got the big Balucci's there to protect Garland anyways, man. It's all good. But yeah, I think Boston's a team that, again, they're like many teams, they're tight to the cap. It's why Canucks winger hasn't been moved yet. But I just see a team like Boston who could really use a player like Garland and his offensive creativity, considering the guys they lost this offseason.
And who's coming back? And
Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. Okay. So again, let's just say it's mid-August, late August. Again, the market for trading players with term kind of changes. And instead of looking at the dollar amount, teams once again look at the value, like what this player can bring to the table. And in this case, again, we have a play driver, somebody who's good 5-on-5. He can do a lot for a line. What is the value for a guy like that if it's not a player coming back? Like, I guess what I'm asking, is there any chance like the Canucks could pick up a second and a third in a deal like this? Or is it just cap for
N-
cap?
Not with the trade like Boston. You have to target a team with
Yeah.
almost no cap space, like a
Yeah.
Nashville or Seattle, or the last team on my list has a bit of cap space too. And the last team I'm going to mention, I think, makes the most sense for Garland. But in terms of Boston, someone I see potentially coming back the other way would be Derek Forbort or Matt Grzelcyk. A
Mhm.
defenseman with some
Okay.
cap hit. They got some depth on defense. I think that's where they could afford to trade a guy.
I like it.
Um,
I like it.
so that's a
I like
potential
I like
option for the
I like
Bruins.
op I like options like that, and I apologize, sorry for cutting you off again. Just a little bit of a connection issue here. We're doing our best, but I like options like that where the Canucks could still very much be in the market for another defenseman to not only challenge, and we've called them out many times on this program this week, not only challenge guys like Tyler Myers for like the 5-6 spot, but challenge the other AHLers slash tweener NHLers that we do have. That would be really interesting, and it would also give this team a jolt that I haven't really come to terms with. Like, I haven't come to the terms with the fact that this team could still get another defenseman with one of these wingers moving out. Could happen. Could happen. Anywho, let's talk more about these teams and players that could be coming to the Canucks if we're talking about a Conor Garland trade.
Yeah, so the last team I have on my list is the team I think that makes the most sense for Garland because at five on even strength, and that was really my parameter for this with teams that could use a bit of a boost at even strength. So that's where Garland really has tended to shine, at least in Vancouver. The Detroit Red Wings. So the Detroit Red Wings were near the bottom of the league in terms of shot attempts for, Corsi for, scoring chances for, expected goals for. They were a brutal team at even strength, and right now they're chasing a guy called Alex DeBrincat. I mean, they could probably get Garland at a fraction of the price. And I think Garland's, more than half the player that DeBrincat is. So I think that'd be a really interesting option for the Detroit Red Wings. They have cap space right now as well. So it could be something where Pix is involved. Although knowing Stevie Y, I have a hard time seeing him part with some picks. Although he's been doing a lot of drafting recently, who knows if they are
Mhm.
going to part with the player. I know I've mentioned a few names. I'm not going to mention Andrew Kopp this time around. But Joe Veleno's a guy I could see coming back the other way. Joe Veleno is one of their few remaining RFAs, and he's kind of squeezed out at the center ice position right now, especially with Andrew Cobb, Dylan Larkin, JT Compher, Michael Rasmussen.
Okay.
Those guys can all play
Okay.
center. So Joe Veleno's a guy I could see coming back the other way.
And this is the same dude who stepped on somebody's ankle and amputated it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
With his blade?
that's the guy. That's the guy.
The other dude lost a foot, right? He lost a foot. Is
Yeah,
that what I'm hearing?
exactly.
Unbelievable, man.
It's in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Unbelievable. That's nuts. That's nuts. Okay, all jokes aside, this guy is a step. He's a what's the word I'm looking for? He's a stomper, right? He's a stomper. He's got to stop that if he wants to be a Vancouver Canuck. That's not going to be tolerated. Okay, here on the West Coast, the best coast
No.
of Canada. The more and more, again, we talk about Conor Garland. The more and more I see why the Canucks have to trade him. There's some value there. They could also get something back. It won't be a complete dump. And maybe this team is so hesitant to play that card, and it's been proven, right? I mean, Beauvillier has 1 year left on his deal. He can, still do things on the ice. He can provide value for your team. And he is probably the option for a cap dump, right? Trading him for future considerations. But the Canucks are high on this guy. They're high on this guy. He had a good end to the season, right? A good start with the Vancouver Canucks, and they traded Horvat for him. I don't think I'm blowing smoke when I'm saying again that they're high on this guy and they hold him with more value, knowing that they traded a big piece from that Horvat trade away right away. And maybe that was because of Hronek, coming out of nowhere, but also because they were still content with the value that they could be getting from Beauvillier. I guess what I'm trying to say is Beauvillier, do you think they favor Beauvillier over Garland already? Like,
Yeah, I
just to
do
have him
think
on their team.
I think so. I think so. And part of it is, Beauvillier was a player brought in by this regime. Garland's a holdover
Ooh.
from the last regime. So I think you almost always see those guys stick around, right? Beauvillier is now an Alvin guy, Garland, not so
Holy,
much an
dude.
Alvin guy. And in fact, Garland is, the last big piece on this team remaining from one of the worst trades in Canucks history. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see how it goes. Again, Garland has value. We talked about it every Dares Know last month about trading Garland, how it could be a future mistake because I think this guy does have more to
Yeah.
give. I'm fine with him coming back to Vancouver, but at the end of the day, if the Canucks are maybe looking to take flyers on some of the free agents left, like have to maybe target a Pius Suter. Oscar Sundqvist is a guy who's a free agent. He was drafted by Alvin. Max Comtois, I mentioned, be the next Sam Bennett. you want to take a flyer on some of these guys, you got to move someone like Garland out.
And you brought up the whole he's not a Rutherford Alvin acquisition, and just knowing that getting off of Garland allows them to have, close to $5 million more next season in next summer's pool of free agency. That's huge. That's huge. We talked about this many times already. The Canucks don't have the ideal third center now, yet there are some options next season, next July. There are a lot of options next July, for real. That person, though, that 3C, that person's not in the system. That person's not in the system. Nowhere close in the system. It's via trade, which is, it's unlikely we get a player like that via trade because teams are not really trading that piece, that really good third line C. Like, we're taking flyers on people like when we're talking about bringing in a third line C. That being all said, there are options. There are options next summer, and having $5 million more to play with and to pick your guy, that's some powerful stuff, for real. Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs. Let's cut to break. And on the other side, I think we're talking about some top prospects. Can we even use that term, top prospects? I think we got like 2 or 3 that, anyways, I'm excited to talk
top
about
prospects on the team, Kyle.
Yeah. Anyways, let's cut to break and let's talk about this.
All right, we're cutting a break to talk about a little MLB. MLB, come on, man. Anyways, if you're into MLB, take your first swing at betting MLB on FanDuel. Get 10 times your first bet amount of bonus bets up to $200. Hey, I might just get an MLB just for the money. Let's go. Hey, that's right. Just bet $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets. Win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting on everything from the money line to the over-under to who you think is going to hit the first home run. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet on MLB than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball.
All right. You're back. We're back. Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bhawan. Man, oh man, it's Thursday. The sun is shining. It's warm. It's hot. It's hot, Vancouver. It's hot. Okay, a couple things happening too. And it's the usual around here, right? The prospects doing the grouse grind thing. We've seen the images. We've seen the videos, right? We're addicted to this team. We're watching the prospects climb up a mountain. And I got to say it again. If you're listening to this and you want more from your Vancouver Canucks, and a lot of that more is going to come from a strong summer and a strong start. September needs to matter. You got to be in shape in September. If you're listening to this, you know that saying, right? We are all Locked On Canucks. I mean, we are all Canucks. You want what's good for this team in September? Maybe you should be going for runs too, getting in the best shape of your life. All right, I'm not going to be David Goggins here, right? I'm not going to be the trainer at Man Up Training, and I'm not going to go on a spiel here. I'm not going to shame anyone, but there is no shame in getting in the best shape of your life, and that could start now. And if you do so, and you're from this place or cheer for this team, the good voodoo, the good energy could transfer over to those people that we're trying to hold accountable, and those people are your Vancouver Canucks. I think it goes hand in hand. Again, Beggsy, Bhawan, Locked On Canucks. Let's talk about it, man. These top prospects. Who entered the list for you? Because I think I know the name that entered the list for you that's getting you excited. It's ironic because the guy has the same name as the best player possibly in Canucks history when it's all said and done. Am I right on that?
Oh, yeah, he's on the list. And I will say, you brought up the grind. I know the prospects are doing the grind today. Kyle, maybe you and I should do the grind in the summer. Who do you think would do the grind faster between you and me?
Bro, to be honest, I can already sense it, and we're going to do this when your family goes away and leaves you for a bit, right? We're going to do the grouse grind. That's not a joke. You heard it here first, and we're going to do it. I think you and I would have the exact same time. I think we'd push each other, and we wouldn't slow each other down. It'd be a combination of those two things, and we'd, we ride together, we die together. You know what I'm saying, bro? Beggsy Bhawan, Locked On Canucks.
Let's go, baby. Yeah, my lungs have a bit more damage than yours, but I actually like my chances, man. My cardio is not so bad. But you're a pretty fit guy, so I don't know. But I feel like you're more muscle than cardio, but maybe I'm wrong.
Whoa, what? Come on, man. Anyways, man, it's not about us. It's a Canucks show, man. Shut up.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, all right. Yeah, so these aren't necessarily the top prospects, but that's just prospects that I'll have my eye on next season. And I whittled the list down to 5 because I can't just talk about all of them. Okay, first and foremost, Tom Willander. Come on, how are you not gonna watch
Dude.
this guy, the most important prospect in the Canucks system right now, going to Boston University, NCAA. I'll be definitely watching a lot of Tom Willander this season for
Dude.
Boston University, and he's got to tear it up, man. I think some of the reports from prospect, the development camp, were that his skating, his ability to defend is, really, really strong. It's his puck skills that could use a bit of work. So we'll see if he can improve on that this season.
Dude, come on. You know what they got to do? They got to draft this guy at 11, right? Because he's the best player available. He has all the intangibles. He wants to get better. You know what they got to do? Adam Oates. Adam Oates right away for the rest of his life. For real. Aquilini, get it done. It's not that hard. For real. Puck skills too. Boom, bam. Adam Oates. And now I've also seen a lot of Canuck fans, right? And this is what we do. We get bored. It's the summer. There's nothing to watch right now. Nothing to fall in love with when it comes to something that represents us in the world of entertainment. I'm seeing a lot of people retweet highlights of that other guy drafted by Buffalo, who happens to live up the street from Rogers Arena. What's his name?
Zach Benson, buddy. Yeah.
Zachary Benson. Okay, and I'm seeing like his tenacity and his puck skills and the clips. Like, come on, bro. Let's not do any comparing, okay? First of all, comparison is a thief of joy. And then second of all, this guy's doing that against the other prospects, right? Let's see that guy do that against Tom Willander. In fact, let's do it. Let's set it up. All proceeds go to charity, one-on-one for an hour, right? A lot of viewers, right? The Cousins, the Sabres fan base, the Vancouver Canucks fan base. Let's just see them go one-on-one for an hour. I guarantee I put $1,000 on the line that Willander will win that battle. I'm not going to say score more goals. Like, we're going to have to set some parameters, but Benson ain't doing those things against Willander, okay? Anyways, next prospect. Yeah,
I'm proud of you, Kyle. You got your cities back, but I'm not going to say anything else on that. Speaking of little guys who got some moves, Jonathan Lekkerimäki. I'm really interested to see what he's going to do this season, right? So he's going to be playing in the SHL. I think Orebro is the team he ended up signing with. And, this guy had a great playoffs, but obviously not a good regular season. So he's still an important prospect for the Canucks system, right? The Canucks are going to need a guy like Lekkerimäki to come in on an ELC and make a difference. I still think, obviously reports from development camp were that he was probably the most skilled player there, but he's still got to work on, not being such a perimeter player. So we'll see. Lekkerimäki is going to be a guy I have my eye on. On the other end of the spectrum, you mentioned it, Kyle, Elias Pettersson. Okay. Again, the reports from development camp were that this guy was, had some impressive puck skills, considering that's not really the calling card of his game. But also that he was very vocal. Like, apparently he was shouting from the bench. He was barking at the ref for missing a call during a July scrimmage. He was very vocal and they asked him to talking to teammates. And we've already heard a lot about how the Canucks are a quiet room. And, I heard Ryan Reeves in his Leafs interview say that the quiet rooms are the teams that have been the worst that he's been on. The best teams are the ones that have the camaraderie and always are bonding and hanging out together. So that's party boy Ryan Reeves.
Ryan Reeves became that guy in the NHL. You need him. You need to extend him. You need to trade first-round picks for him. I'm pretty sure Rutherford and Alvin traded a first-round pick for
They
Ryan
did,
Reeves.
didn't they? Oh, my God. I forgot about that.
He just became that guy. Now he's having these comments, and now he's writing the book on hockey. And you know what? I don't hate it. And more on, what's his nickname? EPD? Is that the name? EPD?
There's DPD.
DPD. Okay, so that's the name.
Yeah.
Okay, the Canucks need this guy to hit. And I know that's a lot asking for a third-round pick, but just looking at this decor and how much work it does need and also how much it will need ELC money, providing a lot of value when it's that time to contend, they need this guy to hit. They don't need any of the defensemen. Well, they do need some of the defensemen that they drafted this year to hit, Willander, etc. But it'd be so nice and what's the word I'm looking for? You want to win a Stanley Cup, you need these guys to step it up and play pivotal roles in your lineup. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it would be cool to have two Petterssons doing it. Like, that'd be a cool story, a really cool story, and it'd be interesting. And I could see those two hosting a podcast together and everything. It'd be nice, man. Well, why are you laughing?
That's beautiful, man. I never thought of that before. Okay, two more prospects. I realized I picked all Swedes here. Maybe I got a boner for the Swedes. That's all right. Vilmer Aldriksson, the big 6'6" fourth rounder from this season. It was a bit of a WTF moment when he was drafted, but some interesting reports from him playing well at a development camp. I know Faber was posting some of his goals. What also caught my attention is that he played center during the Canucks scrimmage, even though he's listed as a winger. So I mean, if they could hone in some skills for this guy, a big 6'6", 215-pound Swede, it'd be interesting to see what he could do as he rises up the ranks. And last but not least, come on, Kyle. I wasn't going to forget to mention this guy, right? R.C. Baines. Of course, R.C. Baines is one of the prospects I'm
Hey,
watching this season. Shout out to Surrey. Shout out to R.C. Baines.
hey,
He was
there you
arguably,
go.
I would say that him and Höglander were the two best Canucks for Abbotsford in the AHL playoffs. And really just, I know you said R.C. Baines is going to play NHL games this previous season, but I have a good feeling R.C. Baines is going to play NHL games next season.
Well, dude, I tried getting RC Baines some of that NHL money, because I know that stuff would be going back to the greatest community of all time, and that's Surrey, British Columbia. Okay, one love to Surrey, Beggsy and I from that place. That is home. We lead with love. The future lives there, and it is time for that place to be less infamous, and more famous for beautiful things. And you know what? On that note, dude, RC Baines over Tom Willander any day. Any day. Okay. Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs, Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Comment corner on the other side. I'm really excited to talk about some of these comments. Beggsy, I don't think we have to shout out anyone this week on the second half of these shows, other than the shout outs we give on the podcast platform. So let's just cut the comment corner. Okay. Locked On Canucks, your team every day. We doing this. One love. And yeah, see you on the other side. Okay. You're back. Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Shout out to the YouTube viewers and all those people listening to us on those podcast platforms. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave us a review. Who do you like better, Beggsy or Bhawan? I think I was losing that battle by 800 points 4 months ago. I think I've gained a little bit of ground. It's not a competition, though. I'm just saying. We want to know, right? Progress reports, audits, they're all important, right? Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Comment corner, the best part of the show. Let's start things off by reading this one. And this comes from Keys. I'm going to call this guy Keys, okay? I hate to go dark like Beggsy, okay? We all know Beggsy is the darkest person on this program. Not to go dark like Beggsy, but Garland will have to win the Conn Smythe for that trade not to be the worst trade in Canucks history. Now, that's strong. That's strong, okay? On yesterday's episode, we talked about the McCann get Branson trade, and we compared it to the OEL Garland trade, right? And again, this guy's saying that unless Conor Garland helps this team win a Stanley Cup, that will go down as the worst trade in the Benning era. How do you feel about that?
I think the stakes are potentially higher because of the 9th overall pick and, the buyout for Ekman Larson. So it's fair. I think if you put it to a poll, most people would pick the OEL Garland trade as the worst in Benning's tenure. I still think it's the McCann Branson trade. And now my opinion might change based on what Garland does, based on what Dylan Gunther does. But with the McCann Branson trade, it was like, again, it was McCann and the 33rd overall pick for Gabranson.
Live in the moment. Live in the moment.
Oh, man, I'm still bitter about that trade.
You got a family. You got a effing family, Beggsy. You got an effing family. Snap out of it, man. Live in the moment. That was a decade ago almost, man. Live in the moment. Practice that, okay? For real. Second comment, okay? First of all, a lot of love coming in from the program, okay? I think we had Sekeres and Price also saying, keep up the good work, fellas. Great. Thank you. We appreciate that. Honestly, I showed my mom that. The other day, my mom told me to go back to school. That's how proud she is of me, okay? So I had to show her the Sekeres and Price thing. Anyways, we had a comment from here, and I think this might be Trevor's aunt. Trevor's aunt or Trevor's uncle or something, okay? You guys are the absolute best in the game when it comes to hockey podcasting. And that's not true because one of the best podcasters in Canada is Rick Dhaliwal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He really is. I could definitely see him on some of the biggest shows in the world, right? Like The Breakfast Club and Flagrant and other Andrew Huberman, for sure. He could sit down with Rick Dhaliwal, maybe Kill Tony too. He's a good dude. Okay. What other comments did we have on this slide? The commenters. And I think this came from Kempner. He really liked the analytical angle that we took in yesterday's episode, and that made my head hurt. I still don't understand anything that you talked about. All in all, the Canucks are in cap hell, and instead of having to maneuver and be witty, actually, you know what? I'm gonna encourage that. Be witty, be smart, be creative. If you guys cannot move off of Garland or Beauvillier, or you can't get better when you trade those players, that's a big thing too. I think the Canucks, maybe they understand like next year's not their year to win a cup. They know what they have to take the next step. An emphasis on that, right? For Pettersson's sake, because I think that contract's going to get signed a little later than we think. For Pettersson's sake, yo, you got to ice the best team next year. You got to have some success. You got to force the issue, and maybe that's easier. Well, it's obviously easier when you keep your good players and not give them away for future considerations. Next comment goes to McDeasy. Okay. JP Barry was on Donnie and Daly, and he said the contract talks will be on hold till the end of the summer, right? Because, it's busy. It's a different time, blah, blah, blah. I was listening to that interview a bit as well. They tried getting Barry to talk about the possible fact that Pettersson is disappointed in the direction of the Canucks / he wants more from them before he signs. They tried getting him into that hole. JP Barry danced around the question. That all being said, success matters. We've seen the way Pettersson plays. He tries way too hard to not want wins to be at the top of that list. I know millions are nice, but wins do matter. And Beggsy put this out there because he's just a dark soul, darkest guy on the program. He said it last week. He doesn't think Pettersson's going to sign until next year. And now I'm believing that because this guy wants to see the proof. He wants to see wins. How do you feel about all this, Beggsy?
I think it's 100% accurate. And, shout out to some of the people in the live chat yesterday when we premiered yesterday's episode. But there was a lot of talk about Pettersson's next contract. What's it going to be? And I said that, if the salary cap's going to go up to $87.5 million, it's going to be $1 million plus for sure. Now, people talked about how we should take less.
What do you mean by that? $1 million plus? What do you mean by that?
11 million plus.
Okay, sorry.
People were saying it's going to be 10.5 million. I said it's going to be 11 million plus if the cap goes up to the projected 87.5 million in 2024-25. And there's some commenters saying, I think it was Harpoon Wave. He was talking about how, Pettersson should take less and, it's already a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. That's fine and all, but these agents are trying to get their player the most money possible. The only way I could see him taking less is if the Canucks go on a run next year. If the Canucks go on like a conference final run and do something crazy like that, then maybe Pettersson buys in and takes a little less. But if they miss the playoffs next season, why wouldn't he just demand through the roof and say, if you don't want to give me it, then I want to go. I want to go play for a contender. We'll see what happens.
It's up to him. It's up to him.
It's his money.
It's his life.
It's his life. Hey,
and if he prioritizes winning, so be it. We also had another commenter saying that I need to lay off the helium. A lot of people have seen the video. I've uploaded it on TikTok. I've uploaded it on Instagram as well. I don't think I'm allowed to show it on this network, but I did tell the story on how my voice got like this. And it's because I ate a bit too much.
It's that thing that Jamie Benn doesn't like to eat, for those who are trying to try the dogs.
It was a tragic incident. I remember when it happened, I felt something go, like, it started coating my throat, and I got scared, and I went to the doctor and actually the hospital. I went to the hospital ASAP, and they told me my voice would never be the same, and it is what it is. Dude, it is what it is. You know how size doesn't matter? The sound of my voice doesn't matter too. For real. You know what does matter? I'm here every day. Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bhawan. Shout out to the listeners. Shout out to the viewers. We're sending you love. Even if you're not watching this and you cheer for this team, we're sending you love as well. We do this again every day, and that includes that day called yesterday, okay? Yesterday, we dropped an analytical, mathematical, intelligent, factual, data-proven analysis of the Canucks cap situation and how that could relate to a lot of maneuvering and similar things to what they did last year right before the season started. And that's a lot of lying, a lot of paperwork, and a lot of maneuvering again. We also talked about the Pettersson contract and a Jared McCann story, okay? He spoke about that situation with the Vancouver Canucks, and apparently we gave up on him early. I choked up there because I got sad. Anyways, go check it out wherever you stream podcasts. Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Subscribe, hit the like button, and one love. Beggsy, sign us out.
Yeah, all right, buddy. By the way, if you want to hear Kyle's story about his voice, make sure you go follow Kyle Bhawan on Instagram or TikTok, or go check out kylebhawan.com. But again, what's important, Kyle, is that you're willing to do that for the ladies. Okay, that's important. But for now,
ladies, relax, dude.
Okay.
I'm swimming in one ocean, baby. and it's the cleanest ocean in the sea. She vegan. So do the math.
Yeah, she also showers 4 times a day. So congratulations, Kyle. Now, shout out to the everydayers, the occasional listeners. If this is your first time listening, welcome to the program, okay? I hope you stay a little while because we got shows coming out 5 days a week, baby. The next couple of days, I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. I'm heading out of town for a couple of days here, going up to Revelstoke where I got married. So Kyle and I, maybe we'll pump one out here quick. Maybe Kyle's got a solo episode, or maybe we're just going to have to make up for it in a few days' time. But we do want to talk about Alain Vigneault, a bit of an ode to the best coach in Vancouver Canucks history. I also want to talk about, some free agents that are still out there and who the Canucks should target among available free agents. But for now, I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bhawan, and you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.